Hi again, Rob here. So let's continue on. I think the next step that I think it makes sense is let's make sure that the serverless framework can actually deploy something to AWS and that we can see that in action. So the serverless framework actually, the template built a really simple project for us. It just consists of serverless YAML file. And the serverless YAML file basically describes how to take this project and deploy it to AWS. At the moment, it's a very simple project. It's just a function. So we're deploying a function into AWS, and the function is called hello. And you can kind of guess that it does something fairly trivial. And that's it. This particular function doesn't even have an API that we can call. But we can, in theory, test this out directly from the AWS console. So that's what I think we want to do next. So once again, we're going to flip over to our command line. And now, we're in our portfolio project. And it's got, just a couple files in here, handler.js, serverless YAML. Let's take a look at the handler.js for a moment. So this is the entry point into our Lambda function. So we're going to be calling this Lambda function, and we're going to pass in some kind of a JSON payload, the event, that contains information about what are we supposed to do. And in this case, the event is basically it's not totally ignored, but it's mostly ignored. We're just going to echo back, hey, we serverless 1.0, your function executed successfully. So anyways, that's the plan. Now let's get this deployed into the cloud. So the command for that is, shockingly, serverless deploy. So I type that. Interesting thing about this process. So under the hood, when we do serverless deploy, and we have a project that is configured to use AWS, it actually uses AWS CloudFormation, which is a really great technology for building projects in AWS. So AWS CloudFormation allows us to specify, these are the resources I need you to create. Please create them. And it just does some really great stuff. One nice thing about CloudFormation is it builds the stack. And when you're done with your stack, you can remove it. So, you build stuff, it goes up there. If you remove it, it's gone. And that's basically how it works. So first time we run this, it is a little slow the first time you run it. It's a tiny bit faster the second time, but not a lot. So what is it doing? It's basically taking this JavaScript project, which is just like one file at the moment, and it's packaging everything up, and it's creating a zip file, and it's transferring it up to an S3 bucket, and then it's going to deploy this whole thing into AWS for us. So if it succeeded, and it looks like it did, it says, stack update finished. There we go. So we've got this portfolio project up in AWS. Another interesting thing. Oh, you know what? I think I want to remove this. So I didn't change the region. It's currently being deployed to the US East region. And for me, it's like, I want to go US West too, because that's the close region for me. So I'm actually going to show you another command. We're going to do serverless remove. So this is how easy it is to remove your stack once you've deployed it. So we do a quick remove. Did I say quick? We do a quick-ish remove. And it'll remove all of those resources that were created in AWS. Now, once it's removed, hey, that was pretty fast. I'm going to go into the serverless YAML file and find the mistake I made, which is I never actually specified what region is going into. So a lot of this stuff is commented out. In fact, I do prefer things to be more concise, so I'm going to say get rid of this. I'm going to say, yeah, get rid of these. but these two are kind of useful. So I'm going to uncomment these. Oops. So I'm deploying to my dev stack, and I'm going to deploy it in US West 2. So that's the region. If you know AWS technology, if you know AWS, you also know there's like availability zones. This is just saying in this region, that's where we're deploying these resources. The rest, now actually I think I'm going to get rid of the rest of this too. So this kind of stuff is useful, you know, especially I do like these environment variables and IMA roles. I mean, we're going to have to bring that stuff back, but I'll just bring it back when we need it so that this file is nice and concise. Same thing down here. I already know that we're going to need an HTTP API, but I'm just going to get rid of this for now, and we'll just bring back the pieces we need as we build this project out. So that way we can see at a glance what this project's all about. It's just saying I've got this thing called port. You know what? Before I describe this, I'm going to start deploying it. So let's just save this. And then I'm going to go over here. Here we go, serverless deploy. And we're going to start the deploy process. This time it should go into US West 2. Oh, what did I do wrong? Bad indentation. Excellent, excellent. Okay, well that's actually a good problem to have. So one thing you do need to know about the serverless framework, it is very sensitive to your indentation levels. It's not rocket science. What I'm going to do is I just did an undent and a redent. Basically this needs to line up with this. Okay, so I'll save that. If you get it wrong, the nice thing is the serverless framework usually tells you, hey, something doesn't look right. So let's start that deploy again. That one looks a little better. While that is deploying, we're going to talk through this. So what have we done? Well, the name of our service is portfolio, and that's kind of the base name that's going to be used for the services that we're going to create. Framework version 2. Okay, well this significantly changed. It changed in a minor way between version 1 and version 2, and they're no longer backwards compatible. So from framework version 2, that's the new version of this file. Provider, AWS. Like I said, this could have been Google Cloud Platform, could have been Azure, but we're targeting AWS. Node.js 12, that's the version of Node.js that it's going to target in the cloud. So yeah, easy peasy. I think we might be able to select a newer one. Actually, I know for a fact we can. I might update this to 14 later, maybe even 16. It doesn't matter. Stage. So this is a good concept that you should all know about. We want to be able to, do some work in our development stage. And finally when we deploy to the production stage, that's when it's available to, everyone in the world. So this is our development stage. That's a great default. This is saying the default stage is dev. So naming convention wise, everything else, we're saying this is our default is the dev stage. Finally, we're seeing that we've got a function called hello, and it's in a file called handler.js. So we can see this over here. Now, there's a bit of magic going on here. The whole idea is, there kind of has to be a bit of magic going on here. The magic is it knows that the name of this thing here corresponds to the name of the file in your Node.js project. That's all good. Okay, I see this deployed. Let's see if it actually, if it's actually there. So now we can go. So once again, I have to repeat, we haven't deployed anything that's accessible to the general web. This is not a REST API yet. It's just a Lambda function that can be called by our account. So I'm going to go into the AWS console. I could have picked any one of these tabs. And I'm going to go over to something called Lambda. Run code without thinking about servers. This is great stuff, by the way. So I'm going to click on Lambda. And I'm going to change my region. I'm not in London. I don't know how it got that default region. I'm going to say US West 2. Okay. 2 minutes ago, portfolio dev hello. So that's what this serverless project created for us. When we did a serverless deploy, it created this Lambda function for us, and that's all it created. Serverless can create a lot more for us, and we will take advantage of that as we move on. So let's just take a look at this one. I do want to point out, you saw that the name of the project was Portfolio, and you also saw that the stack that was specified, the default stack was dev, and the name of the function that was in that YAML file was hello. So that's why it's called portfolio dev hello. This particular project is small enough that we can actually see the source here. Now we can actually test it. So let's test this particular Lambda function. How do you test a Lambda function? Well, you pass it a payload, and this is kind of the default payload. And hello world. This seems pretty boring. Let's say key 1. It doesn't. This is just a payload that we're currently ignoring at the time. So I'm going to say message, and I'll just say I was thinking about my dog has fleas, but my dog is my God. My dog is awesome because he is. I love my doggy. Let's get rid of those two. You can pass as much or as little as you want. So we're going to call this, and I actually should see, we're making a direct call to that Lambda function, and we're expecting that it'll call that code and come back with a payload that says, hey, serverless version 1. So let's test this, and let's see the details of that. Perfect. So this came back. It filled in a status code of 200. Now, at the moment, we're not actually using the status code. That's something that's useful for when we have an API in front of this. And, a 200 status code means, hey, everything worked. The body, and it's also formatting this as if it is being returned in an API. The body is, hey, it's that stuff that I just said. Here's the message. Actually, I'm surprised. The message is go serverless blah blah blah. Oh, that's funny. They formatted something to say that they're going to provide a message, and I also said, my message is my dog is awesome. So that kind of proves that we are calling this serverless function. It's not doing much right now, but we're going to continue from here. So thank you, and hopefully you join us in the next video.